Hello everyone, it's Simmuz here. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we are going to talk about the top 10 PR blunder that the Sims franchise has gone through. Before jumping into the video, as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, let me know in the comments as well what other kind of top 10 videos I can do about the Sims, because it really helps me out with ideas and stuff that you want to see. But let's just jump into it, because I have 10 different things that I wrote down that came to my mind, and I really needed to talk about these. The reason I wanted to talk about PR blunders from the Sims franchise is because right now The Sims 4 is going through a little bit of a phase, I would say, online, where people are mostly, a little annoyed with the game, I would say, kind of angry, maybe even because of the issues that are right now in the game. If you are trying to play or have been playing The Sims 4, you might have seen the most recent update and the issues with that, and people also had issues with the latest expansion pack, Enchanted by Nature, so there's a lot of things that, aren't really going the right way for The Sims franchise. So I really wanted to talk about other issues and things that happened in the past, because I think it's fun to look back at what happened. So the first PR blunder that I want to go through, I would say it wasn't as much of a letdown, more like a bad choice, and it really didn't pan out well for The Sims, and it was specifically for The Sims 4. The Sims 4 collabed with a lot of celebrities through the years, and even recently they collabed with big music names like Doja Cat, Megan Thee Stallion, and T-Pain, and it was all like a lot of different PR things and live streams. Usually that's what they do. But in the past, they also collab with other people. And two of the people that come to mind, I really needed to talk about these. They collabed with Baby Ariel and Millie Bobby Brown for little in-game events with a little activities to do and stuff like that. And I would say it wasn't a badly received per se. I think it was mostly not received. That's the issue. They really wanted to capitalize on first Baby Ariel, so an influencer, which has her big share of controversies even right now. Believe she did say the N-word in a lip sync, and she is vehemently in support of the state of Israel and all of that. So it's very much let's sweep that under the rug. And also with Millie Bobby Brown, I think both of them got their sim self inserted in the game. So right now you can actually find Baby Ariel, I believe, sometimes going around town, which is kind of crazy. But they probably paid these people a fair amount of change, let's call it that, and all that for a nothing, because I don't think people really talked about it a lot or at all, to be honest, when these events happened. And even now, it's been a few years since the events, there's not really people talking about it anymore. And staying in the vein of weird collabs, let's go back to The Sims 3 and the Katy Perry Sweet Treat pack. So I know right now this pack is kind of having a resurgence of some kind, because a lot of people are finding it funny and all of that, and it is very funny. It's such a weird idea for a collab, like a pack that is all cake and cookies and cream and all that kind of themes items. Collaboration with a huge celebrity at the time, let's say that, also has had her fair share of controversies. Let's just take a moment to appreciate Katy Perry being an astronaut now. What I find interesting about this pack is that on the surface, it wasn't a bad idea. Katy Perry at the time was a huge household name, and the idea itself of creating a pack with someone that is also a singer, they also, I think, that was when they added the Katy Perry songs into The Sims 3, and she sang them in Simlish, but having the cover of the pack being a hodgepodge of different pictures of Katy Perry, all mished and mashed and photoshopped together for such a weird, very niche idea. I understand it was on brand with her, but it wasn't really something that you would be able to use in the game anyway. So it was very, I don't know, it was just a miss, to be honest. Another collab that was a big PR blunder with The Sims 4 was the MAC cosmetic collaboration. This happened, and I remember on Twitter it was the funniest day because a lot of people were making memes. It was so funny. So MAC and The Sims 4 collabed together. So a few MAC items were added in the game, like I think eyeshadow, blush, and maybe highlights. I believe that was kind of what they added. That was nice. Having free new items in the game is always nice. And on the other hand, they did a real-life palette collaboration, and everybody was kind of excited because like a Sims palette would have some very cool iconic colors. But it turned out that this palette that they marketed with Sims branding and MAC cosmetic branding was just a recycled MAC cosmetic palette from a previous collection. So they basically had overstock of this palette, slapped some Sims branding on it, and sold it to people. The shadows inside were just general, normal, boring, let's call them boring colors. So just what you would find in a regular, like, everyday palette for makeup. A lot of people were expecting at least the names to be some hints to some stuff, like you could have Plumbob or Bella Goth or something like that, some Sim stuff. Who the fuck does a collab with a brand and just recycles a palette because you have overstock? Like, what the fuck? Especially with such a huge household name in the gaming community like The Sims, with such a huge female audience that are usually the people that would buy the makeup. Not saying that everybody that buys makeup is a girl, but let's be honest, most of the people that buy makeup are girls, and a huge part of the audience of The Sims is girls. So it would have been a perfect moment collaboration, and instead it was such a huge flop. Sticking with The Sims 4, let's also talk about another collaboration that is in the game, and this one is worse because it's a paid collaboration, and it's Journey to Batuu. So Journey to Batuu is one of the game pack for The Sims 4 that got released, and it's Star Wars themed, and it got so much shit. And it clearly was just a cash grab because EA owns the right to Star Wars games, so they clearly just had to like put out something that was Star Wars related and add it to The Sims 4. And there were already like some items in The Sims 4 base game. It was such a niche specific thing, which I obviously, Star Wars is such a huge brand, there has to be some overlap with Star Wars fans and people that play The Sims 4, and I'm sure that those people really like the pack, but for most people that doesn't really make any sense because you are missing out on a possible other kind of pack, and instead you're getting a Star Wars pack, and if you don't like Star Wars, it's nothing, it's a nothing. And yeah, it really didn't pan out well, but also because the pack itself, like the gameplay of it and how it worked in the game, it really didn't feel like it fit very well with the rest of the Sims and the game. Let's stick it with other packs, and let's talk about kits. Specifically, I'm talking about Bust the Dust. And Bust the Dust is one of the first 3 kits that were released when kits were first announced. People were already like kind of off, you know, with this idea, more DLC to a game that already has so many. It feels a little weird to do. But the issue with one of them, and specifically is Bust the Dust, is the fact that this pack did not work. And actually, it broke the game completely, and it was so bad that they stopped doing gameplay kits altogether, and they never did another one. So if you don't know about Sims 4 DLCs, which is fair, kits usually come in 2 kinds. Either it's clothes, so create a Sims items, or it's build items and furniture, so build and buy. And Bust the Dust was supposed to be a third kind, so gameplay kits that add a little bit of gameplay. And Bust the Dust specifically added the dust system into the game, and it added hoovers and vacuums, so you could hoover up the dust. And there's dust bunnies that can come in and you can befriend them and they bring you items. So there was a little bit of fun, new, different gameplay that they wouldn't be able to fit in another pack. it got so badly received by the community because of the fact that this dust system was broken and it didn't work, and it would break the game and it would have major issues all the time, that they stopped doing any gameplay kit altogether. Now let's get into a little bit more of a serious controversy, and this is the My Wedding Stories controversy, with My Wedding Stories being banned in Russia. So when they first announced My Wedding Stories, which is a PR blunder all by itself because of how badly received this pack was also as well, the cover of this pack shows a couple of Sims getting married, and it's a lesbian couple. The Sims came out with a PR statement saying that they couldn't sell this game pack in Russia because of the laws against the LGBTQ plus communities and the fact that they were getting restricted, and they wouldn't sell it in the Russia-speaking area, which doesn't only include Russia as a country, but other countries as well. And I remember I made a video also about this topic in the past, and I do believe that at the time, how it worked is that if there was LGBTQ plus content in a video game in Russia, it would have been 18 plus. And at that point, The Sims 4 was already considered an 18 plus game, so realistically, they wouldn't have any legal issues posting this cover. A lot of people think that this was like a PR move in the sense that, see, Russia doesn't allow LGBTQ plus content and we want to show so much LGBTQ plus content, when in the end they were able to just post this to the Russia-speaking countries and everybody was able to buy this pack, despite the fact that this pack wasn't really good and it didn't really work. So it was a little bit of a weird choice to say, hey, we're not selling this pack in Russian speaking countries because of this ban. And then when people started digging into it and realized that there wasn't really an issue with that, you were like, oh no, we are going to release it and we're not even gonna change the cover. So like, what was the issue? Oh my god, I just reread the next one and it's so funny. The Sims Sparked. So if you don't know what The Sims Sparked is, I also made a video about this reality competitions TV show that they made about The Sims, with famous Sims YouTubers competing to win a prize. It's a reality show. It's fine. I watched it. I think it was very bad. What was good about it is that they actually did, alongside this competition show, they did an actual competition in game for people to participate, for regular gamers, let's call it that. And they would give out prizes for people. I believe they gave out sweatshirts and maybe codes for the game, I believe, as well, for people that won the different events challenges. And I remember a lot of people were posting about like builds and Sims and machinimas that they made for the contest, which was very nice. So that was very good. But the thing is, the idea of this contest was to find people for season 2 of Sparked. But since the first season of Sparked wasn't really well received, and also there was the whole pandemic happening right after, season 2 of Sparked never got made. And I think a lot of people were like kind of not pissed, but like a little disappointed that they could have gone on TV and could have done a reality show with I think like a decent final prize. I don't remember if it was $100,000, but it was a big chunk of money, I believe. And they just never talked about Sparked ever again. Not the challenges, not the TV show. They never said, hey, we're sorry, season 2 will never be made. I would have loved some closure about Sims Sparked, and we never got it. And I think a lot of people got a little miffed when they just, I think to the people that won, they just sent them a sweatshirt instead of an invitation to come and play for season 2. Which was, you know, understandable because of COVID, because of like the show not being well received and all these issues, but it was maybe a good idea to at least tell people. Oh my god, let's keep going into darker and weirder PR blunders. And this one is crazy to me that they did, it's It's coming back to me. When they released High School Years, which was one of the expansion pack for The Sims 4, there was a glitch that changed relationships between Sims. You were able to have incestual relationships between Sims, and even with, I believe, children Sims and teenagers and adults. When this glitch started to happen, a lot of people started to talk about it online and post videos and clips and pictures of these issues arising, asking them to fix this issue. And it's crazy to me that they didn't immediately release like at least like an apology or some kind of statement. It took them like a couple of weeks maybe to acknowledge the issue and actually fix it, and they only talked about it when they fixed it. I would have liked, to be honest, for such a huge issue, I would have believed that they would have been like, hey, let's release a statement immediately. Let's say people, hey, I know this is happening, we're sorry, we're going to fix it immediately, and then fix it. But they waited until they had the fix and be like, oh yeah, we fixed this issue, sorry. And it's like, well, yeah, thanks, I guess, but like you could have told us. Another PR blunder was the addition of the Sims 3 store and all those kind of microtransactions. I have personal beef with the Sims 3 store. The thing is, when I first got the Sims 3, I got a bunch of, I believe, it wasn't free points, but it's because I think they gave you some points when you bought an expansion pack. So I had these points that I wanted to spend in the store, and I got a list of items and put them in my cart, quote unquote, and decided, hey, I want to use my points to buy the things. And I did that, and I never got my items. And I was kind of like, oh, maybe it takes a couple days, maybe they have to send me a link, maybe it's something, whatever. So I waited and nothing came into my game. And so I wrote them, like I wrote down every single items that I wanted to purchase with the store credit, and they never responded to me. So I have personal beef with the Sims 3 store. And in general, I think people really didn't like the idea of a store, as they don't really like the idea of thousands of dollars in expansion packs that we have right now. And valid so, because if you want to have an items, you have to spend money. I know a lot of video games now have like loot boxes and gacha and all of that. So I'm not saying, oh, the Sims franchise is at fault and it's the only one that does that, but it does feed into that kind of issues with microtransactions and gacha, and is kind of problematic, especially when you are making a video game that has such a wide age range for an audience, especially with children. And children might not really realize or comprehend the idea and the meaning behind how much money they're spending. So I wouldn't say this is the worst PR blunder that they had, but it's definitely up there, especially because, as I said, there is a personal bias, and I told my story. So the final PR blunder has to go to The Sims Online. So if you don't know, The Sims Online was a video game that they created, I think in the early 2000s. I think it was just between The Sims 1 and The Sims 2, which was, they're trying to recreate with Project Renee. So it was an online Sims game. So you could go online and chat with people online. It didn't like completely bomb, like a bunch of people played it and people enjoyed it. But it wasn't at all what kind of they were going for. They were trying to go with that kind of Club Penguin kind of idea, and it really, really did not pan out. A lot of people I know hold this game in their heart very, very dearly. It was a choice, let's say that, especially like such a specific game like The Sims, being online when The Sims is so centered on you making your own characters and making them do what you want. And having this online space, you have to meet with other people and make sure you are on the same page. That's kind of what I feared it's going to happen with Project Renee. I know the gaming sphere obviously has changed a lot since the early 2000s, and probably right now online games are a lot bigger than they were, and they also have longer lives. That is one of the fears that I do have, just because of the fact that The Sims is such a specific, unique, personal, one-person experience. But obviously, I wouldn't know, so we'll have to wait and see how, when Project Renee comes out, if it works well or not. if it ever comes out, because at this point it's been how many years since they announced it? So many. But hopefully it's not gonna be such a bad PR blunder that I'll have to add it to this list. So I guess we'll wait and see. So this was my top 10 PR blunders for the Sims franchise, and I know there's so many others that I didn't talk about, like the shopping cart button, or my first pet stuff, or the Sims 2 barbecue baby mod, I believe it was called, or something like that. Like, those are such huge other things I could have added to this list, to be honest. Obviously, let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite PR blunder from The Sims, or what is something that you think I could have talked about instead of something else. And we'll see each other in another video very soon, I promise. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.